Oh, hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Surviving to Thriving, where we address how to move from struggle and just surviving in a world that's just really chaotic. It's too big, too fast, too busy, too loud, just too much for some of us, and go into a place that is calm and being able to actually thrive as highly sensing people. And I'm your host and high sensory coach, Tammy Goen. And as always, I'm so glad that you're here joining me. And this month, we're talking about spirituality and the highly sensing person. And before I go into that, I just wanted to remind everyone my mission, really, my vision for doing this show and for my work with all HSPs, especially women, of course, is this vision that every highly sensing woman will stop hiding and feeling wrong and playing small, stop trying to be less who she is by being less sensitive, and actually come to honor all of her amazing skills and unique talents and everything that is part of being sensitive, and embrace that nature so she can be a strong yet gentle force in the world. So as we're focusing on spirituality this month, I've talked about it from several different angles, and we had our lovely guest last week, Charmaine, to talk about that, how that fits in with business. And today I want to kind of wrap up with just an idea of how to go deeper and what that really is like for highly sensing folks to experience spirituality. And I always like to start my shows with a quote. And today I'm going to just use a variety of little snippets of quotes from Elaine Aron herself, the primary researcher back in the day in the 90s. And she continues to do an amazing amount of research as well as other people. But her stuff is still extremely pertinent, still very valuable. And so I'm going to be using an article that she wrote actually quite a while ago, but it's still all extremely pertinent. And so in one of those articles, she wrote, "The obvious has occurred to me, finally. Compared to others, most HSPs crave contact with the numinous." And that article, if you would like to find it, is actually called "The Highly Sensitive Person and the Numinous." So she goes on to explain in the article the origin of this word numinous, which was coined by Rudolph Otto, from Latin terms that mean a god and beckoning and approval. So as Elaine surmised, God beckons approvingly. Sounds pretty great. So it represents this idea that some, maybe especially HSPs, are seeking some kind of connection, some kind of holy, the sacred, some connection with the divine, the universe, the one, our ancestors, source, for some even supernatural, whatever that is that resonates most for you, that term, that tends to be what we are really seeking. And so as I've mentioned in previous episodes, it appears that we as HSPs tend to have this urge or this drive to a deeper extent, or maybe even have deeper experiences of that connection. So if we've been lucky enough to have some of these moments of connection, we don't usually tend to stay that way. And even those who are meditating hours and hours a day and having these peak experiences, it doesn't last constantly while we're here on this 3D planet, it appears. But when we have had these experiences with source, whatever that is for you, we may have experienced things like profound love, or just this knowingness, this beingness that doesn't need any words, tranquility or serenity, joy or ecstasy, or just complete wonder and awe, and just a variety of potential emotions and experiences. And these are felt in a very different way, generally speaking, than those feelings that we would experience in connection with other people or animals. Although I think it is pretty similar to what we can experience, if not the same, when we are in nature, when we are really connected with Mother Earth, Gaia, whatever that is for you, when we have these amazing connection moments with nature, that tends to be more frequent, again, for HSPs. So we can have had, maybe more frequently these experiences of just incredible connection with nature or with the divine while we're in nature. That seems to be pretty predominant with HSPs. So usually these things are happening, whether it's in nature or not, when we can move away from the ordinary routine day-to-day activities and focus both inward, but also outward, seeing ourselves not as just this physical being and this little tiny person that's part of all of humanity on the planet, but really looking inward and feeling our deeper connection from our heart center, our soul, whatever word you'd like to use, that really connects deeply within us, that's separate from our physical body and physical experience. And we may have these more often or intensely than typical, but we also have a tendency to maybe negate these or downplay them, to resist this idea of craving this connection, but we do tend to crave that. So for many years, my own story, I resisted the idea that any kind of unusual experiences or wondering or these blissful moments that I would experience were anything that was seemingly like unworldly, that I pushed them away, and I considered them as some kind of religious experience. And with some of the experiences that I had already adopted an anti-religion focus pretty early. So all these things that I sought and experienced didn't seem to mesh with what I'd been taught about or experienced about religion. And so I did this shift of like, no, I'm going to push that away because that doesn't work for me, and they must be the same thing. So, but then that left this like void and this unrest and confusion. And so basically I was in this conundrum, right? I was yearning for something that I was actively resisting. So definitely a void there, a lack, something that was really, really missing in my life. And I didn't know what to do with that because I had conceptualized that as, oh, I can't go there because that's something that I don't agree with. But eventually my curiosity, as often happens with HSPs, and my longing, just general trying to fill this void, it overcame my resistance. And I began to explore various teachings and philosophies and had a lot more interesting and fulfilling experiences that I stopped pushing away and negating and really started to pay attention to and experience and enjoy. And they became very fulfilling for me, even though I still was not sure what it all meant. I just was open to exploring and seeing what that would be for me and what other kinds of things would come up. So I came to realize that the idea that we're all connected to each other, to a greater whole, which I'm sure you've all heard this idea, it really made sense to me. And it also resonated for me to think that this connection, this going deeper part of a greater whole, is really all energy based. So right away, I realized this was my answer to my seeking, is just acknowledging we are all connected. There's some level beyond our consciousness and our understanding that we are all a part of. And I don't know exactly what that looks like, but if I allow myself to be in a place of curiosity and just go with that, it calmed that angst, if you will. And I don't know if it necessarily filled the void, but I didn't feel that void anymore, because even though I didn't have all the answers, I was constantly bringing in more information and more experiences in to kind of take care of that urge. I also discovered that for myself, my own belief is that there is no one right way to pursue this connection, to seek out the sacred, the divine, to connect with God, however that works for you, that we all need to find our own path and connect with our inner wisdom and our divine guidance in a way that works for us. So if we try something and we go, that feels weird, that's not for us. If we try something that even somebody else doesn't agree with, and you say, wow, that really resonates for me, then that's your path at that moment. And I've also learned that can shift. I've done that many times where I'm following a certain teaching or idea, philosophy, and then suddenly it just doesn't work for me anymore. And so I'll consider that for a while and say, okay, well, I've gotten what I wanted or what I needed from this. Now I'm going to move on to something else, whatever that is, and then something will show up for me, and then that works. So honoring that process has been really, really valuable, instead of trying to, stick myself into a certain place and say, oh, it needs to look like this because so-and-so said it, or because that's what I've heard. Just being open to whatever that experience is. And so, I had thought about this idea of luminosity. I'm sorry, numinosity. I love the term luminosity as well, which I think are very connected. But this idea of being in the numinous, or having this searching for this connection with the divine. And I thought about Elaine's words about why it is that seeking the numinous might be more significant or frequent or deeper with highly sensing people. And reading what she wrote, I couldn't come up with any better way to say it. So I'm just going to quote her again here. And she said, it could be the result of our processing things more deeply so that we reach these transpersonal levels more readily. Or it could be the result of our pondering more deeply the difficult questions, such as what happens after I die, or why is there so much suffering? And that this questioning itself somehow leads to the numinous. Or perhaps we are the ones who suffer so much, and so must find some comfort in something greater, so that with or without craving it, it comes to us more. And I love that idea of with or without even being aware of it or actively seeking it, it can still find us, because we tend to have that openness and that curiosity and picking up on things so much more. They kind of, stuff like that just tends to find us more. And then she goes on to address what I've heard in many, many articles and discussions. She says, some would argue that HSPs are simply by nature psychic sensitives, or good receivers of communications that are always there, coming in non-material ways. Others would argue that we were created by the divine in order to bear witness to or guide others to the numinous. So perhaps that resonates with you. We tend to be quite often more higher percentage, if you will, of healers, counselors, coaches, energy workers, and spiritual guides. So that tends to fit with the characteristics of high sensitivity and those places, those directions that we are focused on and find ourselves in quite often. As it tends to include this idea of not just spirituality, but this seeking and making that connection. And we do seem to have more of that craving to have that experience and that connection. So whatever the reason, I think that we can minimize our internal angsts if we adhere to our own cravings, allow ourselves to seek out experiences that allow for us to connect at this deep level in a way that works for us, not what everybody else says, but what really resonates for us. And that might be meditation or silent retreats or journaling, time in nature and solitude in nature or other places, or any other kind of activity or non-activity really that allows us to detach from the everyday world and to just go within, make that connection and just be. So some other things to just be thinking of is if we're trying to adhere to honor this craving, this striving for connection, is getting good sleep, and then even paying attention to our dreams. That can help us connect and pay attention to messages, learn to start being aware of and receiving messages. And Elaine reminds us that emotion is central to numinous experiences. So we have to allow ourselves to feel our emotions and not, quash them, put them down, downplay them, or even avoid them. We really want to be in touch with our bodies, even though we're going outside or within from our bodies. We want to be aware of our responses and our inexperiences, including emotions. And so helping that allows, or paying attention to that allows us to stay in that connected place. So hopefully that gives you some ideas, more than I've been talking about the rest of the month, on why we are we tend toward more of that deep spiritual connection, why that's on the radar for us, and then maybe how to honor that and some ideas on what to do with that. So what I'd like to do is take us through, again, a meditation to maybe help with this connection. We can be in that space together. So wherever you are, again, if you can be not in a place that you're going to be interrupted, distracted, but also feel comfortable in closing your eyes or staring off and not worried about what other people are thinking. So hopefully you're in a place like that where you can just go ahead and close down your eyes or gaze, softly in front of you. Go ahead and just take a nice, deep, relaxing, cleansing breath, just letting the day-to-day world recede into the background, just paying attention to you in this moment, in this space, wherever you are sitting. Another nice deep breath. And with each exhalation, just imagine releasing anything that's not serving you, anything that's creating tension or discord of any kind, just releases on the exhale. Allow yourself to feel in touch with the earth, feel grounded. You can send roots down to the center of the earth, bringing up that supportive earth energy to help you feel stable and grounded. Paying attention to that breath as it comes in. Imagine that coming into your heart space, radiating throughout your body. And again, on the exhalation, just releasing anything that's not serving. Allowing that breath, that rhythm to be full and deep, but not a lot of effort. Just allow it to be regular, gentle, but full and deep. And as you continue to be grounded with the earth and feeling that energy, feeling the breath coming into your heart space and allowing that space to open a little, both bringing the air and the love and the light, that frequency into your heart space. And then allow it to also feel open into sharing that energy outward. Feeling safe and comfortable. And now imagine that there is a tube, a shaft, a line of light and energy coming down into the top of your head. And as you move your mind's eye up to the top of that tube or shaft, you see this amazing luminous globe hovering above your head. And this shaft of light is coming from this globe, the sphere, down into the top of your head. And then you become aware that it's a closed circuit, that your own energy and love and luminosity is flowing back toward up and to this sphere, this golden orb above your head. And there's this constant, steady flow as your breath continues to make that flow in and out. You also now have this radiance flowing to and from this amazing luminous globe above your head. And whatever that might look like, golden or white or another color, maybe it even looks like the earth, whatever that is for you, just pay attention to this globe, this sphere above your head, and this radiance that is flowing from that into your head, down into your heart space, and then back up again through that channel and into that orb. Being aware of this constant flow of loving, luminous light. Just being aware of this connection with something above and beyond you. And even in this moment, if you happen to have a burning question or something that you would like a message about, feel free to send that out into the ether, send it up through that channel, letting this sphere, this globe, this beautiful luminous orb above your head, send out that signal that you are open to receiving whatever message might be there for you. A message you were not aware you were seeking, or maybe the answer to a question. And feeling from your heart space, that openness, that willing to receive whatever that message is. Remaining connected and grounded in the earth as this interchange is happening. You are still solid here in the present. As this flow of energy and information is happening between you and this beautiful luminous globe. Just allowing in whatever this message might be, knowing that if you're not aware of what it is at this moment, if it's a bit nebulous or somehow unclear that anything is even happening, know that just in a while that will make sense. It will become clear. Maybe it's even while you're sleeping tonight. Maybe it's while you're paying attention to something else throughout the rest of the day that will pop into your head. You will have this message. And so now you begin to just send a bit of gratitude through that channel up into that orb. Gratitude for this message, for this connection. And being aware of the idea that this globe, this sphere above you is always there. You may not see it, be aware of it. You can always access it at any time. It is full of messages and information and support, and you can connect anytime. So from that place of gratitude, you bring your attention back into the present, into this moment, knowing that that connection is always there and you can always reach out. But now we're focused back in our present moment, wherever you happen to be seated. Taking some nice deep breaths again and releasing everything. And just allowing whatever happens the rest of the day, feeling grateful for what might come, what awareness, realization might be there now or coming forward. And then paying attention to your fingers and your toes, being aware of the room around you, being fully present again before you move on with your day. And I hope that gives you one more tool for being able to connect with your inner self, your guidance, just a remembrance of what is available to us all the time if we simply seek and ask and be open to receiving and don't put anything away thinking that we shouldn't be doing that or it's not what someone else would do, but what really resonates for us, just really honoring that. And thank you so much, as always, for being here. And as always, I would love to talk with you directly, see what your responses are, your reactions to the information today. If you'd like to have a conversation about that or anything else, you can always connect with me through all of my options on Linktree, which is just linktr.ee/my name, Tammy Goen. There's all kinds of resources available on there, as well as an opportunity to set up a call for us to talk for free, just to connect and see if there's some way that I can help you on your journey, whatever that looks like. And then as a reminder too, on that platform, you can find links directly to the app that I've created that is just for highly sensing people. So lots of good content and information available on there. And as always, have a fabulous week, and I will see you again next time.